This thing right here, the Steam Deck, is coming up on the 6th-month anniversary of being a thing that I own. And this thing right here, the Nintendo Switch, is almost 6 years old. So what better time to compare the two and figure out which handheld gaming thing makes the most sense? Now obviously these aren't the only two handhelds you can buy. There's the Neo Air and the Logitech G Cloud and the Nvidia thing that might just be a phone. But these are the only two that normal people have heard of, so probably the only two worth buying. I'm going to get this straight out of the way. This thing is a potato compared to the Steam Deck. It was outdated in 2017, and it's very outdated now. I mean, the deck can play actual new Resident Evil 4. This can play
Resident Evil 4
from 2005 that's on every other console ever. But it is a very pretty potato. This new Switch Oled model comes with a lovely OLED screen. That's the first screen on a Nintendo handheld I'd actually call good. I mean, we both own phones, we know what OLED means. Deep blacks, better colours, looks nicer. It is very nice. It looks especially nice compared to the kind of so-so screen on the deck. I mean, so-so is how I'd describe most of the external hardware on this thing. It's big, it's chunky, it's really clicky. It has a built-in people deterrent in the form of this really whiny fan. I mean, you start playing a game near someone, they are bound to leave the room. It's not good. Now, I'm not saying this thing sucks, because it doesn't look as nice, or it's a bit sort of plasticky and weird feeling. Because if you look beyond the external hardware, what's inside is pretty cool. It's powered by actual PC AMD nerd things that I don't really understand, and you probably don't really understand either. But what that means is it can play actual PC games. Like, this is the newest Spider-Man on a little handheld thing. That's pretty crazy.
I mean, look at this. It works. I'm playing Spider-Man. Not very well, but it works. This is pretty crazy. Especially compared to the Switch.
Like I said, this plays actual PC games, except now I'm no longer bound to my PC. I can play them in bed, or in the living room. I don't really know where else you'd take this thing, because it's so big. But yeah, all the AMD numbers that you see on the website, and the specs and stuff, don't really mean anything if you've not got game. And these things they both got video games. Now this is the point in the video where you've got to do some self-reflection to figure out which one of these you would want more. Do you go outside, or have you ever played League of Legends? The Switch has the advantage of big Nintendo exclusive games that you can't really get anywhere else, as long as you live in a world where copyright laws exist. There's a lot. Here's a list of every game worth playing that's exclusive to the Switch. And here's a list of the games not worth playing. There's a bunch of once-in-a-generation games you can only experience on this. You know, your Botwas, your Odysseys, your Metroids, and your Smash Brothers. This is the thing to buy for those games. The deck doesn't really believe in exclusives, because you can even play its main menu on your PC if you're really feeling bored. But it can play all the games that would make your Switch explode if you tried to run them on that little potato. The deck plugs into your existing Steam library, so if you are an annoying gamer nerd that owns one of these, you will already have a lot of games that you can play on this, which is pretty cool. You know, getting it out of the box, turning it on, boom, there's 100 games here that you could play if you wanted to. All of a sudden, that lack of exclusives won't really matter, because you've just realised that you're in the park playing Elden Ring, and you're suddenly very self-conscious about the fact that you're holding this thing. So I was trying to film myself playing out in the park, but as you can see it has crashed, which, like I said, it does that quite a lot, so you know. But that super broad library is kind of a double-edged sword. Unlike the Switch, where every game you buy will probably work, unless it's called Pokemon, the Steam Deck has a 4-stage verification system, where games are either verified, playable, I should have researched this. Verified, playable, unsupported, untested. The Steam Deck has 4 different types of game classification. There's playable games, there's verified games, there's unsupported games, and there's untested games. Valve's basically got this big list on the internet that just shows you every single game on Steam, and if they think it'll work, or if you might have to do something to make it work, or if it will just crash your Steam Deck and make it catch fire. This is a lot more hassle than just walking into a game store, picking up a Switch game, putting it in, and it works. You've got to make sure that the thing you're buying is going to work with this, and even if it says it will, sometimes it won't. Sometimes it'll be a Last of Us Part 1 situation where the PC port is so bad that it just won't run on anything that doesn't cost $2,000. Other times it'll be the glorious Resident Evil 4 remake, which says it might work, but it works absolutely perfectly. It's flawless. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, so I still haven't really talked about the Switch's big party trick. This guy, you know, the thing where you put the thing in the thing and it's on the TV.
Whoa.
This was really cool in 2017, and the novelty still hasn't really worn off yet. It's pretty awesome sitting playing a game on the TV, and then if I want to go somewhere, I just yank the console out of its nest, throw this away, and boom, I'm playing Mario, I'm walking to the car, I'm doing whatever. The deck does have its own kind of dock alternative, but it costs £80, and it's a bring your own keyboard and mouse / controller affair. So it's kind of a lot more than £80. You could alternatively buy a computer, but that'll cost like £800, and you have to know how to make a computer work, which, trust me, is hard, because mine spent 3 days just not turning on, so. The Switch is still the only real home console that you can also just walk out the door with, which is still a really unique feature. And the switchable nature, which means, you know, you can do this, also means that straight out of the box, you've got 2 controllers, which is an underrated feature because most consoles want another 70 quid for a controller. PS5. DualSense costs too much money. Unlike the deck, with its built-in people deterrent, the Switch wants you to play with other people. Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Mario Party, they all become so much better when you're playing with a friend. And then, I mean, some other games like Mario Odyssey kind of half-arse it a bit, where, you know, one guy gets to be Mario, another guy gets to be the floating hat guy. Why can't I just be Luigi? I mean, he's already in the game.
I mean, look at this. Look at this. He's right there. He's right there, but you got to be the hat.
Even if some games kind of don't do multiplayer great, there's enough awesome multiplayer experiences on the Switch that more than makes up for it, and does make it a key reason why you should consider buying it. The deck does have one other quite cool, underrated feature, which is that this is a computer that you own. You can boot it into this cool little Linux desktop environment. I think this is where people go in that copyright-free dimension to download those Nintendo games, but I wouldn't know. You can put Windows on it and play Game Pass games. It's your computer to do whatever you want with, which is pretty cool when most companies are making it even harder to repair and change your own devices. I mean, if you go on the subreddit, there are people that are bolting on like even bigger people deterrents and better SSDs and like extra buttons and stuff. Like, it's pretty cool, and it's not really normal for a console to have this much stuff you can do to it. So which do I think is best? Well, after conducting tons of thoughtful scientific experiments, writing hypotheses, carrying out investigations, doing conclusions, you know, the whole GCSE chemistry shebang, I can tell you that they're both pretty cool, and I kind of go back and forth on which one I like. Sorry. This is a thing for capital G gamers. People that know what AMD Fidelity FX means and play League of Legends, like I said earlier. This is for people that want to experiment, they want to mess around with it, they don't really care if it doesn't work straight away, because they're cool with that. And it is cool. Not everything works exactly like you'd hoped straight away. It's big, it's noisy, it crashes sometimes, it smells weird when the fan's running. It requires you to put in a lot of effort to really get much out of it, which is not normal for games consoles. The Switch, on the other hand, is the definition of accessible. I mean, there are like a billion of them floating around, and it plays Mario Kart, so it kind of has to be. The deck is a cool, nerdy piece of tech that doesn't work 100% of the time, and I think that might sort of be part of its charm. But the Switch is a consistent, simple, easy-to-use games console, and it's also the place that Mario lives. So for most people, it's the only one even worth considering.